Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Tuesday night, the Oregon commitment sweatshirt comes back on as Dan Lanning, the Oregon Ducks, land another commitment on the offensive line. This one coming from three-star offensive lineman Demetri Manning, standing at 6'7", 345 pounds. This is one of the more physically imposing offensive linemen you are going to see in this 2025 cycle. And kind of a little bit of a different flavor than Zaire Addison, the offensive tackle from Florida that we talked about yesterday morning. Zaire Addison at 290 pounds, phenomenal athlete at that offensive tackle position. You look at Demetri Manning, and this is just a massive, massive human that routinely moves people off the line of scrimmage. Kind of reminds you of Jaquan McRoy coming in the 2024 cycle, where you are just going to bet on a frame that size, probably needs to get his weight closer to 330, 325 pounds. But you're betting on this kid every single day of the week. If you're Dan Lanning, Alik Terry doing a really nice job on the offensive line. Want to get into Demetri Manning, talk about what he brings to this Oregon program. Before we do it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and Dan Lanning, keeping the boys busy on the recruiting trail. I've had a blast talking this program. The amount of support you guys continue to show truly does mean a lot. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. A lot more commitments coming for the Oregon Ducks over the next couple of weeks and months. And without further ado, let's get into Demetri Manning. Let's just start off with the sheer frame that we're working with here at 6'7", 340 pounds. He has an 83-inch wingspan. You take a look at Demetri Manning, and this is a Big Ten offensive lineman. And you look at Dan Lanning, one of the things that we are looking forward for him to do heading into 2024 and into the Big Ten, making sure the line of scrimmage play is up to par. And he's certainly doing that on the recruiting trail. You take a look at the defensive linemen they've started to bring in over the last two cycles, doing the same thing on the offensive line. And you get to Demetri Manning, a guy that you don't see a ton of pass pro on the film because he plays in a wing T offense where they're just getting downhill and running the football. So you need to kind of see a little bit more from the pass pro standpoint. But in the run game, this kid's just a hammer. I think that's the best way to describe it. Let's get into the film. Take a look at Demetri Manning. One of the things that really stands out to me about Demetri Manning, and something that's rare when you're talking about offensive linemen with this size, kind of a guy, or very similar conversation we had with Jaquan McRoy in the 2024 class. They struggle coming off the line of scrimmage when you're that big. You look at Demetri Manning, his get off the line of scrimmage is insanely good for somebody this size. I mean, comes off the line of scrimmage, plays with really good pads, and I mean, this is kind of what you expect to see on the film of a 6'7", 340-pound high school offensive lineman. I mean, absolutely just putting people into the defensive backfield. This is a guy that you want to run to his play side routinely and just let good things happen. And another kind of interesting part about Demetri Manning, he can work up to the second level, which again, with offensive linemen of that size, you don't always see them do an effective job. Demetri Manning puts that on the film. Now you see him sometimes at times get a little bit over his skis, but he's a guy that when he gets hands on opposing defenders, he is just moving them kind of all around the football field. And that's something that you're going to bet on plays right tackle, left tackle. I think there's a lot to this kid, probably a little bit of a project. I think this is a really good rep too as you get through the film. And this is going to be a reach block where he's going to have to get to the outside shoulder of this edge rusher. I mean, he does it. I mean, getting off the line of scrimmage, getting to the outside shoulder, when you see him engaged with opposing defensive linemen, I mean, it's kind of wraps. I mean, he's got really long arms, really, really big hands, and just kind of does whatever he wants with that upper body, just kind of engulfs opposing defenders. You see him get off to the second level again. I think these reps are kind of what really stand out to me about Demetri Manning, a guy that can get off the line of scrimmage, go get to the second level. Again, that's rare when you're talking about 6'7", 340-pound offensive linemen. I'm really excited about this kid. I think there is a lot of potential with Demetri Manning's game, and I'm really interested to see Alik Terry, Dan Lanning. I mean, just get to work with this kid. I mean, I could watch these reps all day long of him just when he is engaged, he is just doing whatever he wants to opposing defensive linemen. Again, I think the big question mark you have, especially with the wing T offense and the size that you see, is oh, what is the pass pro going to look like? How quick are the feet in pass protection? This is a guy that, even if he doesn't play tackle for the Oregon Ducks and you have question marks about the pass pro, just throw him inside. Let him operate in those close combat situations in a phone booth, because we saw in the film, when it's in a phone booth, that's where Demetri Manning is really thriving. You take a look at Oregon in this 2025 class. I feel like it was just a couple days ago we were talking about Oregon sitting outside of the top 40, stringing together a couple of commitments. We got a lot of talent coming to Oregon's campus over the next couple of weeks, and you start scrolling down the list. I mean, this is just full with blue chip recruits. I think they're doing a really good job in the state of Florida, which I think is notable for two different reasons. One, there's a ton of talent in Florida. If you can go take some of the top talent from that state, bring them to Eugene, that's certainly a benefit. But then when you look at the programs that you were competing for national championships, Alabama, Georgia, they do a really nice job in the state of Florida. So if Oregon can kind of continue to pluck away some of that top talent, it's not only helping their team, but it is probably helping them get a leg up on programs like Georgia, like Alabama. You continue to scroll down, it's just filled with guys that are top 250 prospects. Demetri Manning actually going to be the lowest ranked recruit, a guy that, again, probably the low ranking results in just a little bit of a raw prospect, a guy that we don't know what he looks like in pass protection. I'm sure Dan Lanning has seen what he can do in space, knows that he is a ball of clay that you can kind of mold into an elite offensive lineman. Really, really intriguing prospect, a guy that I don't know if we're going to be talking about in the 2025 cycle or season as a true freshman. You start talking about sophomore, junior year. Once he gets that body right, you're looking at a high upside offensive lineman. Dan Lanning, Oregon, continue to roll on the recruiting trail. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.